Hello, everybody on Rumble, Facebook, DLive, Twitch, and wherever else you might be watching this show. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. We've chosen to do a nice afternoon chat here. It is the beginning of October in the year 2023, so we are just going to address a few things, not many, maybe for about an hour today. Talk about what's ailing me and what's ailing you. We're currently live on TikTok, everybody, and we will be addressing any and all questions that pop up in the TikTok room, and of course, any of the other chat rooms that we are currently watching. And thank you to everybody on TikTok who's joining us now. My name is Kevin J. Johnston, Canada's #1 podcaster and most censored man. The Canadian government's so terrified of everything I have to say that they saw fit to lock me up for 7 months just to get me to stop podcasting. And it didn't work. Obviously, I'm here chatting with you. Anybody who's watching currently in the TikTok room, feel free to ask any questions that you'd like to ask. And we will address them all. First one, right off the top. Censorship sucks. Time to move to Clapper. I'm sick of TikTok censoring everything I post. Oh my God. Tell me about it. Anything to do with that pandemic thing, they just block it. They censor it. First, what they do is they put a warning on it saying that you need to see some facts that we've selected, but then they just outright block it and sometimes give you a penalty for it. Now, this is really bizarre there, censorship sucks, is I got into a ring with a bull. It was a fundraiser in the province of Alberta, and the bull knocks me over. It's called Mexican poker, where you're supposedly playing poker at a table, and the rodeo clowns get a bull to come over and charge the table. The bull knocked me over. I ran off and laughing my head off the whole time. And they put a warning on it saying that this was done by professional stuntmen and should not be replicated. And then they just took the video down. Well, I was a professional stuntman for about 8 months back in 1996. I haven't been one since. I was just a guy playing Mexican poker with a few of my friends at a rodeo, but they took it down, falsely calling me a professional stuntman. So that is how bad TikTok's censorship has become. And funny enough, Rumble is not censoring any of that. So I don't mind going live on Rumble to talk about these very same things. Oh, and the Melville mayor, you voted for me for mayor. Thank you very much. We certainly appreciate that. Yes, I've run for mayor in 2 different Canadian cities on 3 separate occasions, and it's been a lot of fun. But the Canadian government doesn't like conservatives like myself who happen to tell the truth all the time, so they will stop you from doing so. By the way, everybody, elections in Canada are completely 100% rigged. There is absolutely no point having them anymore because the powers that be have already made their selections, not elections. It's sad, but true. Don't let it get you down. I would just suggest that if you do live in Canada right now, recognize the fact that with the exception of Australia, it is the worst country in the G20. It sucks. It's horrendous. It's time to go. I will be communicating directly with a lot of my clients around the world to find out which countries are better to live in than Canada. And so far, it looks like there are a good, cool dozen where there's opportunities to make a ton of money, but also opportunities to get better healthcare. Canadian healthcare is god-awful and pretty much hopeless. I'd avoid it at all costs if you possibly could. Panama right now has healthcare that is about 20 years to 25 years ahead of Canada. So you should be looking into that. You have to pay $200 a month for it. Totally worthwhile. All right. Ginger says, my ex-manager that did a hail is the one voting for you, not people with brain cells. Well, opinions vary. Anybody with a brain in their heads did vote for me. That's just how that works. Daniel Smith is a great premier. No, Daniel Smith right now is putting on the facade of being that. Like I told all of you when she won the election, expect 6 months to a year, maybe even a year and a half of peace and quiet while she gets used to what she has the power to do. But she is working with the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum simply cannot wait to bring the Western world down. And that's exactly what will start happening. So mid next year, summer of next year, you can expect Alberta to go what they call full retard or full communist, just like it did under Jason Kenney in the same government. Something to think about. And the scary part is Alberta is still the best province in Canada to live in. There's still more rights in Alberta than any other province in the country. They will be taken from you next year, unfortunately. And that sucks because Canada was the best country in the world when I was growing up. It was phenomenal. I was amazed at how incredible the country was in comparison to other countries I've seen and in comparison to what it is today. There we go. All right, we're going to keep going through. You're not going to get rich putting down the health system. Okay, Woody, if the health system in Canada was so worthwhile, I wouldn't have to criticize it. I would be praising it. But it's not. I'm 52 years old. I don't have time to come out here and lie to you saying that everything is great, everything's cool, it's wonderful. Why would I do that? There's nothing to gain by coming out here and lying to the public. In fact, if I came out here and lied to all of you and said that the Canadian healthcare system was the best in the world, and then you started counting on it, and then you start getting sick and start dying, whose fault is that? Well, first off, theirs for being awful, but also it'd be mine. And I can't in good conscience tell you to use the Canadian healthcare system. And that's all 10 provinces, by the way. I can't do it in good conscience because it would be a lie. There we go. Daniel Smith cannot be trusted. That's absolutely true. She was Wild Rose. That's correct. She was Wild Rose and she crossed the floor because it suited her financially. The woman will do anything to suit herself financially, which is what all politicians do. If you think any particular politician in Canada is some kind of savior, my Lord, you're in for a rude awakening. Okay. If the situation was hopeless, the propaganda would not be necessary. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that your life is hopeless or Canada is completely hopeless, but I am going to tell you that it's going to take 100 years for it to recover to what it once was. And that's going to be at least 50 years of strong men being in charge of the country. There are no strong men left in Canada doing anything. So Canada has to crash, and it will. It will go full communist for a while. And just like the Soviet Union before it, it will collapse and become stronger and better. All of us are going to be dead before Canada becomes a real country again, run by real men. My recommendation is to leave. Costa Rica is better. El Salvador is better. Panama is much better. Chile is better. These are all countries that want you to be citizens. Why wouldn't you go to places that want you as opposed to being in a place that doesn't want you? If you have ambition and drive in Canada, the government is going to crush you. They're going to stop you every way they possibly can. They don't want you to flourish. They want you to be on universal income and become zombies, lifeless zombies. Jared DeLuker, who are you, you ask? Kevin J. Johnston, Canada's #1 podcaster. There you go. I'm also Canada's most censored man. Proof to that is I've had more than 11 court injunctions in the past preventing me from talking about subject matter that pertains to Canadian citizens. I still cannot talk about 152 different people in Canada because of court orders. Imagine that. Imagine everyone saying that you live in a free country, but you can't talk about the key 152 people destroying the country. Okay, healthcare in Canada has real issues. That would be a whole 3-hour show for me to explain the issues that it has. I'm just telling you that it's inferior to Brazil, Panama, Cuba, El Salvador, Costa Rica, many others. Countries that we think are second world countries have better healthcare than Canada. Think about that. What will happen if Pinocchio says my nose will grow now? Don't care. Pinocchio doesn't exist, just for the record. Are you a political scientist? No, I'm a political analyst and podcaster. I'm a journalist. I'm an investigative journalist. Used to do private investigations in the past. I've been involved in politics my entire adult life. I know what I'm talking about. You don't even have real books. Correct. Every show that I do on TikTok, people on Rumble and Facebook don't care, but on TikTok, everybody has to say the books behind me are not real. Of course, they're not real. It's a $20 banner made of vinyl that I got on Amazon. And do you know why? Because it reflects white light that way and then right back off, meaning that I don't have to put a whole ton of stage lights in here. I can light this entire room with 3 LEDs. It's exactly what I'm doing. So congratulations on having such a keen eye. My God, you people pick on the dumbest things to talk about. When do you think the banks will crash in Canada? Sometime in the next 2 years. And it may not even be 2 years. Canada is going to go to a central bank digital currency, which will mean the end of the Canadian dollar. And we will then have a digital currency that is centralized that the Canadian government can then control. If you don't do what you're told, they shut your money off. Imagine that. You're not going to have the freedom to do anything that you want with your money. like you can do with gold, silver, Bitcoin, and cash now. Think about that. Everything you do is going to be recorded and scrutinized. It's a horrible, horrible way to go. You seem to be the type to join the Freedom Convoy. You're wording that like it's some kind of a bad thing, that people want to fight for the right to live, exist, make a living. People want to fight for the right to not have needles stuck in their arms that they don't need. People want to fight for the right to have their children grow up in a country that is safe. How dare you come in here and insult people that fought for their rights? You're not a very smart individual, I'll tell you that. And yes, of course, I supported the trucker convoy implicitly. The only problem is the Canadian government didn't like the fact that I was explaining to people that they had the right to defend themselves. They had the right to fight for their freedoms. So the Canadian government put me in a jail cell during that convoy, so I couldn't speak publicly about it. That's communism. By the way, if that's the kind of world you want to live in, go for it. Yes, it's just a background. It exists. It's stapled to the wall. All right. Keep going here. Oh, someone says nonstop crying from this guy. Well, tell you what, we're going to make it so you don't have to hear me anymore. You've only got 4 followers, which means you're nobody. So let's block you. There you go. You see, everyone, I'm a big believer in change the channel. If you don't like my hair, you don't like my face, you don't like my sweater, you don't like my fake book background, you don't like my microphone, maybe you don't like the scars on my face, no one's telling you that you have to stay. You all are free to leave at any given time. How'd the mayor race go? Well, I had a blast doing it. As you all remember, I finished second in the city of Mississauga, which is Canada's 5th biggest city by population. And if you also remember, I was doing so well in the Calgary election that they locked me up for 7 weeks during that election. Like they're trying to do to Donald Trump right now, they've been doing to me for the last 6 years. Okay. I'm going to keep going through here. Any comments on the current convoy or Save Our Children movement? Well, of course, we need to save our children from the extremists that run the education system. Canada, unfortunately, all 5 levels of government, and that would be federal, provincial, municipal, judicial, and administrative, are all run by the far left, who are bringing poisonous ideas to our children. What we should be doing is teaching our children how to think for themselves. Math, science, real science, English, literature, history, all of these things should be taught. I mean, by the time the average kid gets out of high school, you've been in high school from age 4 to age 18. You don't know how to shake hands in a job interview. You don't know how to talk to the opposite sex properly. You don't know how to write a resume. You don't know how to get a bank loan. You don't know how to drive. You don't know how to do anything. And that's not your fault. That's the education system's fault. They just want you to be idiots who will do exactly what they're told. They want you sexualized so they can do what they want and get away with it. I highly recommend that each and every one of you who have children in any Canadian school right now, pull them out. Keep them away from the evil. I think with some Southern American country, a couple of them shouldn't. Okay. Yeah, cosmetic surgery is really big in Chile, Argentina, and South Korea. South Korea are the best plastic surgeons on the planet right now. Not sure what that has to do with what we're talking about, but there we go. What about the homeless in Canada? Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to answer that one. Homelessness in the 1970s and 80s was almost unheard of. People that were homeless in Canada when I was growing up as a kid typically were war veterans that were abused and forgotten by the system, or the extremely mentally ill. But now the number of homeless folks out there in Canada has jumped to more than 50 times what it was when I was growing up. 50 times. In Edmonton, which is the capital city of Alberta, I'm in Alberta now. I'm in Calgary, which is 3.5-hour drive south. But when you go to Edmonton, they've got that almost $1 billion hockey rink for the Edmonton Oilers to play in. And just 2 blocks away is a full tent city with 3,000 homeless people living in it. Why? Well, because the Canadian government has deliberately crushed the entire economy here. The Canadian government has implemented hate speech laws, which has now stopped everybody from speaking their mind and stopped companies from running proper advertising campaigns in which to make more money. They're out of work and they're out of home. They have nothing left to their name. So the crime rate is going to skyrocket in this country very shortly. Homelessness tends to be, some people like it. Some people want to be homeless. I get that. But it's a very small percentage of them. The rest who are currently homeless, who don't want to be, I feel horrible for, because there's no way out. The Canadian government's not allowing you to get out of this calamity that they have formed. And we have something called drop-in centers here in Calgary, which are worse than prisons. So the homeless don't go. They end up staying on the streets longer. Education is one of the problems here. We have so many people out of work in this country because we have such poor education. Even if you're dropping $75,000 to go to university in Canada, your education is garbage. There's nothing of value that you come out with. And you've got degrees in things like women's studies. What the hell are you going to do with that? So we have education that you're paying for, that you're going to be paying off for the rest of your life, that doesn't get you a job. What happens? You end up being homeless. It's ugly. Canada's an ugly, ugly, evil place. Don't come. All right. The Canadian government will never let the banks fail. They're bailed out every time. That can perpetuate itself about a dozen times before it just completely collapses outright. And it will. So expect the Canadian banking system to fall because they're running out of money. It's a big problem, especially when you've got Trudeau, who just decides to print $650 million. And when I say print, I just mean create from nothing by typing some stuff on a keyboard. Creates $650 million and gives it to Ukraine, plus the hundreds of millions he already gave them, plus the $540 million that he gave to all the media outlets in Canada so that they would continue to lie about Canadians. Right? There's no real free press in Canada except for independent guys like me, who unfortunately have local politicians like the mayor of the city of Calgary hiring Antifa to track us, follow us, destroy our property, and come at us with weapons, which has happened to me not one, not two, but 3 times since I moved to Calgary. I've had 6 legitimate attempts on my life in this country being a conservative journalist. That's how it is here. It sucks. All right. The Freedom Convoy is awesome. Yep, I agree. Yasmin Holmes says, I like you. Well, thank you very much. Very kind of you to say. Thank you to everyone who's given me the roses, by the way. I love you. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Punisher 2174. I wish I was with you at the convoy in Ottawa. I was in a jail cell because they didn't want me going to the convoy and grabbing a microphone and inspiring Canadians to fight for their rights. I like conservative, but please don't take away my dope. Why would I want to do that? Your dope is your dope. Smoke away. It's nothing to do with me. All right. Somebody is saying bye. I guess they don't like what I'm saying. That's okay. You've got the right to just swipe up, leave. I'm not making anybody stay. Okay. I promise you, I'm not going to force any of you to stay on this page. All right. And David says, you're one of the good guys. Thank you, David. John Baker says, hey, man, you're awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Punisher, thank you for doing this, brother. I'm going to never stop doing this. All right. Jason, as a Canadian, I'm kind of ashamed how Canadians reacted to the convoy. The convoy stood up for our rights. Yes. Well, see, here's the problem. The media outlets that we have in this country are the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which receives $1.4 billion a year. They own about half the radio stations in the country, and they are far left rhetoric spewing hate-filled, anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-democracy, anti-capitalism maniacs who lie to the Canadian public all the time. The problem is Canadians don't know any better because the only other option is CTV, which is equally as bad, but they're privately run. However, they have been bribed and bailed out by the federal government to continue to lie. Then you've got smaller things like the Toronto Star, called Torstar Media, which all they do is lie. Then you have City TV, CITY TV, in every major city in the country, who are also very far left and very pathetic. You should watch their show just to see how pathetic human beings can really be. They dance around like idiots, uttering lies. All they do is lie. So Canadians are bombarded by lies all the time. And when they see the convoy going out, CBC comes out and says, they're very bad people. And stupid Canadians, and there's a lot, will just believe it because they don't want to bother going out the door and talking to their fellow Canadians to find out what the truth is. Canada's kind of bad that way. Okay. I scrolled past because, but communism, authoritarianism. Well, that's what Canada is. You know, the Marxist playbook is being implemented all over this country. Canada is a communist fascist country. You know, when the Alberta government threw me in jail because they didn't want me running for mayor of Calgary, I spoke to the chief medical officer for the Edmonton prison that they threw me into. And this guy says, yeah, Mr. Johnston, I'm so sorry that they threw you here. This country's total fascism. And a couple of the guards had the same thing to say. Even the prison guards know that Canada is a fascist, communist, dictatorial state. It's going to be a despotism soon if we're not all careful. If you have money, I would get out of here as quickly as you can. Okay, I don't want to talk about Jesus, guys. It's not what it's all about here today. Someone's saying you still exist. Does that mean Bigzify or whatever your name is? Does that mean you don't like me? No one's asking you to stay. All right. Yes. 6A, 7B. Yeah, I'm not crying. I'm simply telling people the truth. I'm telling you all that I truly miss what Canada was. Canada had it great from 1948 to 1994. And it's been sliding ever since 94. And in the last 10 years, it's been dive bombing. It's circling the toilet. It was an amazing place when I grew up. And I really wish all of you could have grown up in that same type of country. It was beautiful. Now it sucks. And now it's actually dangerous. Greg says, call it like you see it. Good job, sir. I will continue doing that. Exactly. I scratch my head at people who think freedom is an extreme belief. Yeah, they're the idiots. They're the ones who want universal income, and they never want to do a thing with their lives. Good for them. All right. I'm liking you by the minute. We need more people like you in Canada. Yeah. Well, thank you, Yasmin. We do. I wish there was 100,000 of me out there. Unfortunately, there's only one. That's too bad, isn't it? You're free to stop dedicating your life to being wrong out loud as well. I think that's an insult. Let's move on. What do you think about the NDP government in Manitoba? Woohoo! I think if you live in Manitoba, you should pack up everything you've got and either move to Costa Rica, El Salvador, Panama, Chile. If you want to stay in Canada, Alberta. Alberta right now is the safest place to be, but only for the next 18 to 24 months. Get out now. Get out of Manitoba. The NDP are going to shut everything down, including natural gas. You're not going to be able to heat your homes later this winter. Trust me. That's what's coming. All right, Crombie is gone, so give it another shot to expose the fixed election. Well, sure, I would love to run for public office again, but I'm not doing it alone. The last 3 times I did it, unfortunately, the teams that I built, they were good for getting labor done, like delivering flyers, but they weren't good for fundraising or booking events or making cold calls or whatever else. And if I don't have a solid team, I can't do it again. I was working 20-hour days for the better part of 6 to 8 months during those campaigns. It's exhausting. It truly is. But hey, get a team put together and I'm in. I'm really offended by the new passport. It's a degradation of our history. Yeah, I don't have a copy of the passport, but I have seen it. And correct. Canadiana needs to be shown to the world. You know, I don't like the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, but they are part of our history and culture. So mounted police officers should be printed somewhere in there, even if it's just to protect our culture. Hockey and lacrosse are the 2 national sports of this country. So it should be in there. The fleur-de-lis from Quebec should be printed somewhere in there. The Union Jack, seeing as that this pretty much is still owned by the king, should be in there somewhere. The maple leaf should be absolutely everywhere. The beaver, the moose, the elk, they should all be in there. You know, children playing should be in there. You know, even technological advancements. 1976, the CN Tower was completed. I know, I was there. I was 5 years old. I watched a Sikorsky Su-76 helicopter put the top of the CN Tower on. It was incredible. All right. We used to be an incredible country achieving incredible feats, like Dr. Frederick Banting, for example, who discovered insulin, artificial insulin. My God, I mean, diabetics are alive because of a Canadian scientist. James Naismith, who invented basketball. These are things that we should be honoring, but we're not. Our new passport's a watered-down piece of crap, like Canadian culture is becoming because Canadians are allowing it to happen. Canada seems to understand inclusivity. Crazy. Inclusivity is the stupidest term I've ever heard in my life. If you don't want to be part of something, don't be part of it. I don't want to be included in left-wing ideologies. You can exclude me from that. Thank you very much. And I don't want to include left-wing people in my personal life. I don't want to work with them. Not now, not ever. And I certainly don't want to work with racist pigs. And I don't want to work with hate mongers. I don't want to work with Nazis. I don't want to work with Black Lives Matter. I don't want to work with any of these people. Exclude me from that. And I have the right to exclude people that I don't like from my life, which I would not do based on skin color, but I will do based on your ideologies and your behavior. If you're a gross, sick, disgusting pervert, you can't be in my personal life. I don't want to include you. I never will. You can file any motion in the courts that you want. I'm still not going to do it. All right. You're on Calgary. Sorry to hear that. Yes, Punisher, I'm still in Calgary. Calgary itself, the city, the downtown core is actually, it's beautiful. It's a very clean city, but it won't be in 5 years because they're turning all the empty office towers into low-income housing. It's going to be a slum in 5 years. It's really, really sad. I prefer people in the province of Alberta to the province of Ontario. Friendlier, kinder, more fun to be around, you know, more friendly and more conservative. I do. But Calgary is going to die a very, very quick death very soon because the wrong people are in charge. It's too bad. Okay. Will all debt be deleted when the banks crash? Woo! Best question so far. No, unless you comply with everything they say, in which case, yes. They're going to bribe you in this country with getting things like more needles you don't need, with putting apps on your phone that track where you go, signing up for the social credit system, score system that's coming, for doing what you're told, then yes, they will. But it's not going to be automatic. You're going to have to become a good little communist to get that done for you. All right. Hooligan says, we just need to be safe from people like you. So Hooligan, with 13 followers and no likes, get lost. All right. We're going to try to be a lot more positive here, folks. I'm not saying any of this to frighten you. I'm not saying any of this to make you angry. And I certainly don't tell my story about the government beating me up and taking all my stuff for sympathy. I don't. It's not what I want. I want all of us to be a little bit more aware of our surroundings and a little bit more aware of the state of things in our country and our world. That's why I'm here. You don't want to be here, just take off. No one's asking you to stay. All right. I'm going to keep going through your comments here. I'm behind about 100 of them. Okay. When you get accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Interesting comment. I'll address it very quickly. Is that Canadians got so comfortable over the last almost 10 decades? Well, we'll call it 8 decades, that they feel that being comfortable and lazy is their right. So with oppression coming into place, with this equity thing that you're talking about, no, it's not a matter of Canadians think that equity is oppression. They just don't know what real oppression is. They're all being oppressed right now. They don't recognize it because there's never been a war on our soil since this has been Canada. Since 1867, when the British North America Act was ratified and the 4 provinces that were there at the time formed a confederation, there was never a war on this soil. So Canadians don't know what war is. They don't know what suffering is. But believe me, they're about to. Quite a speech on school. Seems you're a bit out of touch. Incorrect. I have been fighting with the school systems for a very long time. I've helped a number of families win lawsuits against the education systems in Canada because they are so unfair and so far left radical. Educators in this country honestly should be in prison for what they do. There's no good education in Canada right now, unless, of course, you're coming to guys like me. Of course, you live in Alberta. I think that's an insult, not sure. It's unreal that you are in Leduc. And yeah, I'm familiar with Leduc. There's nothing there except a lot of pickleball courts. A really good community center. I'll give you that. Good coffee shop. The Freedom Coffee Shop downtown Leduc. Excellent. Have coffee there. Tell them I sent you. Beyond that, I don't know what Leduc has. Howdy from Calgary. Thank you very much. Certainly do appreciate that. All right. I'm going to NDP for the win. I think we have an NDP communist here in the room, everybody. NDP, New Democratic Party. They're crazy. They are literally crazy. They're worse than the Green Party. The NDP, depending on which province you're in, have talked about putting a $5 tax per liter on gasoline. So instead of it being $1.60 a liter like it is now, imagine it being $6.60 a liter for gas because they want to try to convince all of us that climate change is somehow real. It's not. Don't fool yourself. Human beings can do simple things. There is weather modification available to us in Alberta. Airplanes fly into clouds that have hail within them and break them up using various chemicals so that the hailstones don't destroy crops. Yes, that is possible, but it's not possible for a paltry 6.5 billion humans, and there's probably less than that now, to heat the planet up in any significant way. It's not possible, but the NDP says it is. So they're going to make you pay taxes for nothing. And if you take cash, try this. If you're in a room and it's 72 degrees Fahrenheit, throw some money in the air and see if the temperature changes. It's not going to, of course. They're also going to tell you things like you can't burn wood anymore. They're going to cut the supply of natural gas to less than half, possibly even a third of what it is. Manitobans are going to die because the NDP is now in power. Scary. All right. Yes, everybody in Edmonton, Southwest Edmonton is going to be the first official 15-minute city in Canada. It won't be all of Edmonton. It's going to be the Southwest. Have a look around all the traffic lights that there are in those areas. You'll see that there are white convex and concave dishes everywhere and more cameras that you can shake a stick at. Why? Because they're going to implement it. And every time you drive outside your neighborhood, they're going to send you a ticket for $10 to say, hey, we're helping the environment by utilizing all these cameras that burn up lots of electricity. And somehow this $10 is going to reduce the world's temperature. Think about that. It's coming. Actually, it's not coming. It's here. They just have to turn it on. It's here. And they will be turning it on soon. Women's studies is a course you need to take, clearly. Wrong answer. All right. All right. I think someone's trying to say that Canadian universities are the best in the world. You have no idea how untrue that statement is. All right. Aurora's number 8. Please leave your beautiful country. In time. Relax. I'll get there. The great Canada I grew up in is gone. That much is undeniable. You're 100% correct. I miss it, man. God, the 1980s were incredible. Do you know, I made over $2,000 a week when I was 18. That's how much money there was in the economy. I mean, I worked hard for it. It literally was 90-hour work weeks to make that kind of dough, but that kind of dough was available. And then with that money, I had to pay $5 for an entree at any restaurant going. Gas was 40 cents a liter. Movies were $3. Whoa, man. Wow, is all I got to say. Where the hell is that country gone? How can you run out of money if you're printing it? It's not that you run out of money if you're printing it. It's that you run out of the capacity to convince the public that it still has value. What I would encourage you to do is look up Zimbabwe. All right. Look up the history of Zimbabwe. They used to have their own currency, and they were so bad at printing so much of it that eventually inflation in that country would double every 24 hours. And when that happened, the Zimbabwe government panicked and they were printing, ready for this, $50 trillion notes. So a loaf of bread was $50 trillion. Think about how stupid that was. That's why they're on the American dollar now and not their own. Inflation will get out of control. You can expect food prices, which have doubled in the last 5 years alone in Canada, to triple within the next 2 years. That's inflation. It's artificial. The money is worth less because there's so much of it around. All right. I'm going to go through more of the comments. Hate this guy. Happy he's gone from Toronto. Okay, you don't have to be here anymore then. And we're just going to block you. Oh, no followers, of course. Isn't it funny how people create accounts while I'm going live on TikTok specifically to criticize me on TikTok? Like, do they not have something better to do? Wow. Okay, Robert Kawasaki once said that money isn't just made, it is lent into existence. That is true, but it would take me a whole show to cover it. In fact, I'll tell you this. I did a 4-part What is Money series on my show. If you go to my BitChute channel, type in my name, kevinjjohnston.com. You'll have to look around probably September of 2021. I did a 4-part show, 2 hours each, on how money is created, loaned out, circulated, and then returned, and how it keeps an economy running. It's an amazing series. A lot of people didn't like it because I think it was over their heads, but I think that's one of the big problems with people. They don't understand money because they don't really want to learn it. It's a lot to know. How do you print a piece of paper that's purple in Canada with a number 10 on it and then buy $10 worth of, crap at McDonald's? How is it possible a piece of paper turns into a hamburger? Well, it took me 8 hours to tell that to the public in a 4-part show. It's a lot to know, but you should know it. Don't ever shy away from knowledge. Knowledge truly is power. There's 100 comments I haven't gotten to, so I'm going to skip now to the most recent ones. If I miss what you're saying, it's not deliberate. It's just me trying to keep up. Thank you for all your interaction today. I really do appreciate that. All right. I literally left watching their live stream, finish it, and came back. Okay, no, I don't know what that means. That's probably not for me. Money is gold and silver. Partially correct, yes. Back in Roman times, a piece of silver would buy you a day's worth of provisions, bread, salt, rice, whatever they could get their hands on. And a piece of gold weighing the same would buy you a month worth. That's how gold and silver worked. It's still considered currency today, but you got to be careful, because if you buy a whole ton of it, you're not going to be able to sell it for the same price that you paid retail for it. Not for a while. It's going to take a couple of years for it to appreciate in value to get the retail purchase price back. But if your plan is to buy gold and silver and just leave it in a dark room in a fireproof bag inside of a fireproof safe for 10 years, you have retained all of your wealth plus the new value. The reason gold and silver are so valuable in comparison to palladium and platinum is that we've got over 5,000 years of record keeping and testing of the market in gold and silver to know that it has that exact amount of intrinsic value. Whereas platinum's only been recorded now for about 30 to 35 years, palladium even less. That's why gold overtook platinum in value back in 2008 and stayed there. All right. So if you can afford gold and silver, get it. Hang on to it. Don't sell it. All right. Banks did not loan money. Correct. In Canada, if you get a bank loan, they put a lien on your house and they go with their fingers and they create money before your very eyes. Because the guy types it on the computer, now it exists. And then you have to pay interest on that to get your property back. The guy who goes and creates that money, lying to you, saying it's real, should be in prison for fraud. Now, that's how that works. But the entire system is a sham. And they have to perpetuate that sham by not allowing us to win court cases against the banks, which sucks. All right. All right. So Deadly, Enek, Métis, Auntie, I don't think that you really want to be here, so I'm going to get rid of you. All right. Doesn't matter that you're not white. You're not going to come in here and be a racist jerk. All right. Racism against white people is still racism. I'm not going to tolerate it. You're not going to get it from me. I'm expecting the same courtesy in return. So please just go away. And you're blocked anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right. So Janet is asking, how are you? Miss you. How is everything? Well, I mean, I'm doing all right. I'm going out of my way to get myself into pretty immaculate shape. You'll all be happy to know, those who've been following me for a very long time, you'll be happy to know that I entered the 400 Club a week and a half ago by deadlifting 425 pounds. And in 3 weeks, I'm going to be making an attempt at 500 pounds. Why? Well, because I like being strong. You can never be too strong in life. I'm 52, which means I need to be working out so that I never end up like an old guy walking around like that with a cane, so that I don't lose enough of my ass that my pants fall off. All right, these are considerations to make. How many men do you know over 50 with no ass and they have to wear suspenders on their pants because nothing's holding their pants up? That's not going to be me. I'll tell you that right now. So I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking. Okay. Any women in here who have any respect for this guy after his comments about women's studies? Women's studies has nothing to do with women. Okay, Austin 936. Women's studies is a radical leftist, hardcore, fourth wave feminist pile of tripe. It's designed to make you hate men, hate your country, hate your religion, hate your own values, and hate your family. That's what it is. Has nothing to do with women. It's propaganda, Nazi style. I love women. You all know that. But that course, that degree, what are you going to do with a Nazi propaganda degree that's been crammed down your throat that you've paid for? There we go. So you can spare me any particular notion that what I've said about radical leftist Nazi teachings in university is somehow got something to do with me being a bad guy. No, the universities are bad for teaching it. They're also bad for taking your money and shoving that in your face, knowing you'll never get a job with that degree. All right. Someone's asking me if I paid my fines. Would you care to clear up what fines you are talking about? Don't be vague. Be a lot more, check your sources and ask a real question, like with an actual source being cited. Don't just throw stupid crap out there. I have zero respect for him. I guess that's me. Oh my God, or OMG, he's about to mansplain women's studies. No, I just told you what it is. I didn't mansplain a damn thing. Mansplaining is a sexist term, by the way. So if you want to get yourself kicked out of here, just keep talking like a radical feminist. Not interested. I don't like misogynistic men, and I don't like radical feminists. The far left and the far right can both suck it. I have no time for those people because they've dedicated their lives to lies, and they've dedicated their lives to interfering with the lives of everybody else who's just a little left or just a little center or sitting in the center. I don't want to be around people or have to deal with people like you who want to interfere with the lives of good people. All of them can suck it. All right. Are you here grifting to raise a 600? Okay, first off, for those who don't know, there was a medical institution that was awarded $650,000 by a judge in an illegal and improperly run court case, which was done to just silence me. I appealed that decision. We're not going to get the appeal till sometime next year, so I don't owe anybody $650K. Your information's out of date. That's the problem with what I said earlier in the show about watching the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you, T Gold, for the cap. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the crowns. Thank you. I love you all for doing that. So if you're going to come in here and imply that I'm somehow a bad guy because the court system has treated me unfairly, you should check your sources. Don't use the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. All right. Rebel News. I'm not really a fan anymore, but at least they got the story right. Go to them. All right. They'll get it righter than CBC ever will. Thank you for the flames, One Big Papa. Greatly appreciate that. All right. I'm going to keep going here. Will the Mississauga Muskies make a return? Jay Fox, I wish I could. The Mississauga Muskies was a private lacrosse league that I ran to compete with the Ontario Lacrosse Association, who I proved were molesting children and stealing money to the tune of $2.5 to $3.5 million. They didn't like it. I wrote a book about them called Lacrosse is Dead. Anybody who wants a free copy of that book, by the way, go to my website, kevinjjohnston.me, my name, kevinjjohnston.me, fill out the contact form, ask me for a copy of the book, and I'll email you the ebook and the audiobook so you can understand how bad sports corruption is. I'd love to bring the Muskies back, but I don't think I'm ever going to return to my hometown. I don't see a point. All right. I agree with you, Kevin, but could you give us some advice on how to protect ourselves from the libs? Advice piece number 1. Oh, I have advice. Oh, yes. When the far left begin their attacks, you know what they call you? Racist, Islamophobe, homophobe, transphobe, xenophobe, and then they'll usually interlace them into some long, drawn-out sentence with F words, S words, C words, and middle fingers. All right. Let them do it. Film them doing it. Put it on social media. People who behave like that need to be called out. You don't even have to say anything to them. How many times did all of you see, and Facebook took the videos down because I get it, but how many times did you guys see radical leftist females? I'm not going to call them women because they're not women. They're born female. Pull their pants down and show their asses to me and my video camera, and then spread their butt cheeks apart so that we could see their breakfast. How many times did you guys see that back in 2021? All right. It was more than 4 dozen that I had to endure that. And I wasn't going to change my facial expression. I kept holding the microphone down to their ass, asking them questions. And they would then reach between their legs and give me the middle finger and so on. Film it. That's how you deal with libs. Film it and show people what they do. That is what Antifa does. They get naked in the streets and make people look up their anuses, right? And then they'll call us gross and they'll call us racist because we're taking pictures wondering what the hell they're trying to achieve. What is someone trying to achieve who behaves like that? Next, whenever someone on social media calls you racist, you call them racist 5 times as much. They will disappear. You see, it used to be in the 70s and the 80s, you could ignore people and they would go away. But these leftists don't go away. They just keep yip-yapping and so on. So they call you something, call them right back. 5 times as much. They'll block you and stop bothering you. Trust me, it works. All right. Poopy Bum 69. Is that really your name? What are my sources for what? If you're going to ask a question, be a bit more specific, please. And get a better username. My God, that's so stupid. Okay. Oh, check this out. So Don Deesme, is that how you say your name? I'm a woman and women's studies is a joke. Well, thank you for that. I mean, a real woman would say that kind of thing and back me up on that. Yeah. Guys, men, let's talk about women for a second here. Couple of quick things to know. I love women. I'm heterosexual. Obviously, I will. I love intelligent women who are feminine and who have a lot to say that's not about fingernails and people I don't know, like friends of theirs. And I love intelligent women who keep themselves fit and they tease their hair up just a little bit, just a bit, and put on lipstick. I don't want any other makeup than lipstick. And they come out looking good and they smile at you and they flirt with you and they cater to your ego a bit and sit down beside you, hold your hand and make you feel like a man. I love women like that. God, man, they're just amazing. I wish there was more of them. But I have noticed that exists more so in the age bracket of 40 and up, as opposed to, we'll say 39 and down. Also, I like being around women who know the difference between attractive and sexy. Being hot, is kind of like an accident of birth. But being sexy, that's a behavior. It's a personality. It's a walk. It's a hair flick. It's the right facial expression at the right time. It's raising your eyebrows and winking at just the right time. Any woman even one who's not attractive physically, can be sexy as hell. And that's the kind of woman I like being around. So it sounds like Don Desme from Montreal. Sounds like you're one of those. Give me a call sometime, please. All right. Thank you for the hearts. T-Gold, thank you I love the hearts, guys. Keep them coming. Please, up here in the corner, it says likes. It's got 2.4K likes. Can we get to 4,000 likes on this live? I'll hang around for another 20 minutes if we can get the likes to 4,000, please. Really do appreciate that. It certainly helps us out. Lupin Walla 22. Oh, hey, you're Sikh. All right, excellent. Namaste, my friend. Yeah, they want to teach our kids all the rotten stuff because they want to turn our children into their sex toys. That's what it's all about. So we need to keep our kids away from this poison. Don is me. Thank you for the rose. Mwah. Merci beaucoup, madame. Oh, yeah. All right. How is it going? I just don't see how you can do what people do with real estate if it was backed by gold. Okay. I see what you're asking me there. I've already covered real estate. Let's move on to something else here if we could. Kev, let's focus here. Will the Mississauga Muskies be operating in 2024? Jay, no. Not unless someone else wants to buy the franchise from me and the jerseys, the equipment, and the logo and everything else. Someone else is going to have to run it. I miss running it, but no, I will not be bringing it back in 2024. All right. Interesting that you were criticizing women's studies when you have no understanding. What don't I understand about universities oh, look at that. We hit 4,200 likes. Mwah! Oh, I love you all. Thank you. Thank you so much. If we can hit 5, it's even better. Okay. I'm talking about universities in Canada and the United States looking for new ways to separate you from your money. So they create courses that they believe people want to take and that they believe that they can sucker you in. Thank you, T-Gold, for the hat. I appreciate that. That they want to sucker you into spending your money on courses that will never do a damn thing for you. I just told you, I love women. Women's studies has nothing to do with women. It's a communist, Marxist, Nazi-esque type of piece of garbage they're going to shove in your face to get you to hate your family. I would stay the hell away from any university right now if you possibly could. Come on, man, grow up. Really. Pay attention to what I'm actually saying. And Poopy Bum 69 is asking me again, what are my sources? What are my sources for what subject matter? If you want to be a troll, learn how to ask questions properly. We just hit 6,000 likes. Oh my God, you people are the best. Oh God, I love you all. Thank you. All right. Most people can critical think. Keep going, Kevin. I wish that 90% of the world thought critically. It would make this planet just so much better. If 90% of the world's population thought critically, we would have colonized Venus and Mars by now. But many people don't think critically. They want someone else to think for them so they can blame others for their lot in life or their mistakes. Critical thinkers apologize when they screw up, fix the mistake, learn from it, and carry on and improve themselves. That's what you're supposed to do in life. So I would ask all of you, don't just take my word for it. Don't take CNN's word for it. Don't take CBC's and whatever the BBC has to say, ignore it all completely. Think for yourselves. And if you're going to be reading books on subject matter, important subject matter like psychology, sales, human beings, societal woes, whatever it might be, read everything. Oh, I just got a galaxy from, thank you, man. Thanks for the galaxy. Read books post 1980. The old stuff was honest because we didn't care about political correctness. Canadian schools are removing all books written before 2003 because they're not woke enough. There's a school called Arundel High School. I had a couple of girlfriends that went to that school when I was a teenager myself. It's in Mississauga. It is at Dundas Street West and Erin Mills Parkway. That school was the first one in the province of Ontario to remove every book written before 2003 because they're not woke, because they want you to read modern crap. It's crap. Most stuff written these days is garbage, unless it's Jordan Peterson or me. It's garbage. All right. All right. So someone's saying that they imagine I don't know much about women. Let's just agree to disagree. There we go. Why not a fan of Rebel? Oh, okay. I'll answer that question. Ezra Levant had me on his show back in 2017. In May of 2017, I announced I was going to run for mayor of Mississauga for the 2018 election. 2 weeks later, Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie knew she would have to debate me and that she was going to lose. So she had me charged with hate speech, to which Ezra Levant then had me on his show. When I outdid him, when I was a better speaker than he was on his own show, he chose to take the interview and cut it up to make me look stupid, as opposed to showing what it was that I actually said. Now, I forgave all that because I don't carry grudges. It's pointless. But he decided to tell David Menzies, a very dear friend of mine, that he was no longer allowed to speak with me. Why? Because my approach to journalism is one that involves talks like this, where I actually interact with people and take their questions, as opposed to just uttering some news article and then walking away. I don't do that. I talk to people. I answer emails. I answer questions live on TikTok. He doesn't do that. He's intimidated by that. He doesn't like the fact that I have a better rapport with people on a personal level. He has a better rapport with the public right now because his audience is bigger. Good for him. I'm happy for him. But he has told all of his staff since 2020, none of them are allowed to speak to me at all. Instead of covering me when I was running for mayor of Calgary, his hometown, by the way, he chose to back Jeremy Farkas, a far left pedophile. And that's when I lost all respect for him. There we go. Poopy Bum 69. Are you addressing me? You're asking me what my sources are. Again, specifically for what? And if you ask it again, without telling me what you want to know, how about I just boot you out of here? Okay? You're being silly. All right. Someone's asking me about nuclear missiles. Could you rephrase the question, please, so I can answer it for you? I don't understand the way it's worded. That's all. All right. Oh, here we go. Didn't this dude get arrested at a grocery store or something? You see, there's the problem. You guys are coming in here not checking your sources. I went to Dawson Creek to give a speech to the public about the fact that the thing with the things on your face, I can't even say the word on TikTok, but it was all BS and so on. I was teaching people up there how to fight for their rights to not get needles they didn't need. I went shopping for soap. I was told that I couldn't shop for soap because I wouldn't wear a mask. I said, tell you what, here's $5 for this $2 bar of soap. Why did I need soap? Because I packed everything for a week and a half trip and I forgot to pack soap. I had toothbrush, toothpaste, comb, clean drawer, fresh drawers, as the black guys in Harlem say. I had all that stuff. I just didn't pack soap. That was on me. So I bought soap. I gave him a $5 bill. I walked out. I got assaulted by him and one of his cashiers. Then he comes out and assaults me again. So I gave him a quick, that was it. In Canada, you're allowed to defend yourself, but you're only allowed to use like just enough force to end the problem. Yeah, that's true. So if someone comes at you with a knife, you're not allowed to get in there, grab the knife from the guy, cut him a couple times to debilitate him, throw the knife down and choke him out. You just have to kind of slap the knife away. That's it. Like that's all the law says you're allowed to do. Now, knowing that was the law, this guy hits me not once, but twice. So the second time he did, I had to get him to back away. So I just extended my fist like that. I used to box. So if I was to give him a full-blown uppercut, he would have been out cold. And the problem with knocking somebody out cold in a concrete or asphalt parking lot is that they could hit their head in the ground. And if he hits his head in the ground and goes into a convulsion of some type, guess who gets arrested? Me. If he dies because I hit him hard, guess who gets arrested? Me. So knowing that Canada has ridiculous self-defense laws, I just gave him a straight arm. It wasn't even a punch. It was just an extension. And he cried like a bitch. What's your problem, man? So he was tough until he got hit back. And that's usually all that it takes to get someone to stop being an idiot, is when they're hitting you, defend yourself the way the law says you can. And that's usually what ends the fight. My goal in a fight is to end the fight. My goal is not to cause egregious injury. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to grab you, rip your ears off your head, bring your head down into my knee, and when you're passed out cold, break both your legs. That's not who I am, and that's not what I'm going to do, because it also sends the wrong message. All right? Could you imagine as a journalist if I started doing that to people that were hitting me? First off, I would have had to hit over 250 plus people. And then secondly, I'd be known as the psychopath that breaks legs. I don't want that reputation because that's not my personality. It's not who I am. Anyway, that guy was in the wrong. He looked like a complete fool live on camera. And Poopy Bum, what a stupid name. You're out. Just get out of here. Okay? We don't need you. More trolls. God. Confirm. All right. So feel free, everyone, to start asking questions a bit more freely now. You're not going to have that left-wing nut bothering you. All right. Why do people keep calling me racist for doing racist stuff? I have no idea what that means. All right. I'm going to catch up now. I'm going to go to the bottom of the list. There's so many questions here, everybody. Hey, look at that. 9,700 likes. Oh, God, you people are amazing. And yeah, I just said you people. All right. You know what that means? Everybody watching. There's no racial connotation to that. Can we get to 10,000, do you think? Can we get to 10,000 likes today? Because it'd be the first time I ever broke 10,000 likes doing a live here. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. That's a long story to deflect the fact that he got arrested at a grocery store for assault. No, I didn't get arrested for assault. I got arrested for theft under 500. All right. And so what they did is they locked me up in a jail cell for a night. And then the two RCMP officers, losers, came in the morning and said, okay, we watched the entire video. We watched it 7 times. And we're going to charge you with theft under 500. I said, like, did you idiots actually, I said that to him. Did you idiots actually watch the video? I paid for that soap. But you know what? If you're going to charge me for something I paid for, thank you. Can I have my bail hearing now, please? And I made bail. Yeah, the bail is what? $100, I think it was. All right. And in Canada, you don't have to pay bail in advance unless the judge just doesn't like you. And the Crown Attorney wanted part of my bail condition to be that I could not enter the province of British Columbia for a year. Could you imagine the audacity of even suggesting that? No, my lawyer argued properly for me, but there you go. It was the Crown that realized that they couldn't make a charge of theft stick because I was on camera paying for my soap. So that's when he changed it to simple assault. And if I was found guilty of that, it would have been a fine and no jail time. But I wasn't found guilty of assault. And that means that your information is out of date. Do you see me in jail? Of course you don't. All right, let's keep going here. You people love our Canadian maple syrup. Yeah, maple syrup is something Canadians do. They do correct. Yeah. That is one thing I do miss about Ontario was there was a lot of maple syrup farms in Southern Ontario. And whenever I felt like having some real maple syrup, I would go. Usually what I would do, a lot of these maple syrup farms, is I would buy waffles in advance and bring them down. I put them in Ziploc bags. And when they were making syrup, I would say, hey, dude, put some on this piece of food I brought with me. And they would. A lot of times it's all how you ask. Yeah, I do miss that. Maple syrup is phenomenal in Canada, especially Southern Ontario and South Quebec. Booyah. It's something that Canadians do better than Americans. I agree. Hobby Shicky says, you still got arrested, though. You can get arrested for anything. You know that, right? You know that if someone was to make a phone call and lie about you, you'll get arrested, right? That's just how it is. What does getting arrested mean? It means that some guy wearing a costume and a little name tag and a little badge and a gun and pepper spray and a flashlight, that's what a police uniform is. It's a costume. So some guy with a costume comes over, assaults you, because when you put your hands on someone, it's assault, kidnaps you, binds your hands together. So now it's forcible confinement, and then takes you to a jail cell, which again is kidnapping and forcible confinement. And then asks you all kinds of questions that he doesn't have the legal right to ask once you say, I want a lawyer. And then you got to talk to a guy in a black dress to try to get bail. What does being arrested means? It means that some jerk in a costume decided they wanted to take your freedom away. The courts will then later decide if you were guilty of whatever that police officer said you did, which obviously was not the case because I'm a free man. All right. The next mayor of Calgary, everybody. Maybe I'll run again. Maybe I won't. Who knows? All right. Someone said I got sentenced for assault. Never once in my lifetime have I been sentenced for anything real. Okay. Especially not assault. All right. So KJ does not respect law enforcement in Canada. No, that's not what I said, loser. What I said was what a guy in a costume is doing is illegal. Even though he says it's a legal arrest, it's still illegal. Police, corporations, they're just corporations. So imagine someone from PepsiCo walks in your house and arrests you. They work for a corporation. Police officers work for a corporation. Calgary Police Service, Edmonton Police Service. You notice how they don't call them departments anymore? They're not departments. They are services. And do you know who they service? They service the other corporation, which funds that corporation, being the corporation of the city in which that police department exists. So it's not a matter of I hate cops. It's a matter of I just tell people what the truth about what they are. That's it. And you'll find that many police officers don't know the law. I blew an officer's mind one day. It was great. I had a conversation with this guy, and I was explaining to him that bylaw officers in Canada have zero authority. Did you know that? Did you know that bylaws in any Canadian municipality do not pertain to citizens? They only pertain to people who work for that city. So when a bylaw officer starts flipping off of the gums demanding information, just tell them to get lost. Get out of here. And if they keep talking to you, then call 911 and say you're being threatened. That's it. Done. The cops will come by, and the cops have no choice but to tell the bylaw officer, you got to leave this guy alone. If you tell bylaw officers they're not allowed to enter your property, they can't. They have no authority. They're nobodies. Check that out. And this officer I was talking to in Toronto at the time didn't know. He didn't know that was the case, because in cop school, they don't actually get trained in the legal part of law enforcement. And that's sad. They should. So I do blame the training institutions for that. Believe me. Okay. It seems like we got trolls coming in here now. So we're going to ignore the trolls, everybody. If you got any more questions, We just hit 12,000 likes. Thank you to all of you for that. I greatly appreciate that in its entirety. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I'm going to have a look for a couple of more questions, and then I got to take off. I'm doing a live show tonight, everybody. So every Thursday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern Time, I have the amazing Melanie Schweitzer on. She's Alberta's best country star. She's amazing. Her and I do a show on relationship and dating advice. Why? Because I've dated a few, and I've had a few girlfriends, and I've had a few good times out there. And what we're doing is, as two people who are 52 years of age, assisting those who are trying to make sense of the crazy modern dating world. That's tonight. So just type in freedomreport.ca at 7 p.m. Mountain or 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. Pacific. And you guys can watch the show. It's a call-in show. So if you do want to ask a question during the show, then you just email us or message us, and we will go ahead and get you on the screen so you can ask your questions or make your comments. No swearing. I know you trolls like to come in there and use the C word a lot. We'll just block you, all right? If you're a troll, the show's not for you because you're never going to get a date anyway. It doesn't matter what I say. All right. Kevin, okay. Last couple of questions here. Chair Bear, yes, I used to live in Ontario. I grew up in Mississauga, spent a great deal of time in Toronto, Niagara region, and so on. When was my last date, Thomas? Last night. Why do you ask? Does it matter? And yes, the date went well. And yes, she was an absolutely lovely lady, 54 years of age. And that's all the details that you're going to get. And yes, she's well aware of what I do for a living. And she watches the show. Kevin, any financial advice to protect ourselves from Trudeau? Okay. Number one. This is the easiest one for all of you. You're going to have to move your money out of Canadian certified banks. CIBC, HSBC, Toronto Dominion, Bank of Montreal, Royal Bank. Get your money away from them. Keep enough money in there to keep the account active. I think 3,000 is the minimum in Canada so that you don't have any bank fees. 3,000. That's it. It's there. So if you have to do quick money transfers, you have a bank account in which to do so. Get the rest of it out. I would suggest something like Koho or Tangerine to keep your money in for now. If you don't care that you don't have liquid cash, then I would buy a house. Not in Canada. I would buy a house somewhere in the United States or El Salvador or Costa Rica. These are places where property values are skyrocketing. Gold and silver and Bitcoin. As for every other digital currency out there, like XRP and all that stuff, like just don't. Bitcoin is now a worldwide commodity like gold. Put your money there. Keep it safe. If you do trade in Bitcoin, keep your mouth shut about it. Don't tell anybody. And I mean nobody. If you're going to be doing transfers of Bitcoin, I highly recommend that you have a good wallet like Kraken or crypto.com, but you do transfers through Trust Wallet or the other anonymous wallets first. Never go directly to your main wallet. There's my advice for everybody. Get your money out of here. Here we go. Some people are the mother jokes are starting. It took an hour and 8 minutes and 37 seconds for the mother jokes to start. But here we go. The trolls have entered the room. Nuclear bombs can be intercepted with a missile without detonating the warhead. That's true. Yeah, warheads are detonated typically by coordinates, by satellite signal, by barometric air pressure. I mean, sure, you can shred them and they won't go off. All right. Oh, check this one out. He's just going to ignore any question that he can't answer when he's called out. I've answered everything so far. So, nice try. Okay. Don Desme, you're asking, who do you take a large amount? Sweetheart, I didn't quite understand that question. If you could rephrase it, please, I'll address it. Why Koho and Tangerine? Because they're outside of the banking system that currently exists. It would take longer for Trudeau and your enemies to find out that you have those accounts, so long as you keep your mouth shut. All right. If you open up crypto accounts or Koho accounts or Square.com accounts or whatever else, shut up about them. Don't tell friends and family you have them. I would be equally as critical of you having $1 million in cash sitting in your basement and you tell your best friends and their friends and your aunts and your uncles you got $1 million in the basement. Keep your mouth shut. It's nobody's business. Keep your business to you. We do not live in a time anymore where you can trust anybody outside your inner circle. And even then, your inner circle can still turn on you. Be careful. Litecoin is going to be big. I advise buying now. XRP is the next Bitcoin. Possibly. I was told that a couple of years ago. Hasn't happened yet. Not saying it won't. And I own both. So let's see where they go. All right. Yes. User 845. We will be stuck in Canada if you don't leave soon. You've got about 6 months to get out. If you're planning on leaving, you've got about 6 months left. Otherwise, they're going to start shutting borders down. Do you know why? They have to interfere with the U.S. election. Trump cannot win for the globalist elite to get what they want. So they'll hit us with another pandemic. Watch. Where's the safest place to move? Depends what you want. Depends if you're okay with changing cultures. Right now, Colombo in Sri Lanka is very safe. You can buy a 5-bedroom house for $10,000 Canadian. Chile is safe. You have a lot of options in Chile, and Chile has the same type of climate Canada does if you already live in Canada and you're used to that kind of thing. In fact, if you go down to the southern tip of Chile, there's 3 towns down there where the sun comes up in, ready for this, in November and doesn't go down till like the end of January. So you can have 3 or 4 months of daylight if you want that in Chile. And that, of course, would be in wintertime because it's the exact opposite season in the southern hemisphere. Just when you do go, be prepared for culture shock. Many people can't handle culture shock. I can't. I enjoy other cultures very much. You have not answered my comments, sir. I've been here for half an hour. Well, tell you what, ask it now because I'm getting out of here in a few minutes. Oh, your name is Dondra. Sorry there, Dondra. Yeah, Dondra. It's a beautiful name. Actually, you're the first Dondra I've ever met, and thank you for the roses today. Greatly appreciate that. All right. Haha, he literally slipped hundreds of questions. Thanks for the rose again, sweetie. No, dozens maybe, but a lot of them were covered earlier in the show. We're live on other platforms right now as well, so I don't want to repeat myself all the way through the evening. It's a simple, valid question about a statement you made in a previous live. Okay, what? What do you want to know? Cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. All right. Yes, Dondra is now sweetheart. I like talking to ladies like that, and I love it when women call me handsome, or the British women who, when they're speaking to me, say, "Oh, darling, how are you?" Oh, yeah, man, I melt for that. We are heterosexual men here after all, and we love it when women speak like that. Be feminine, ladies, and you'll get a lot more attention from guys like me, masculine men. Where's the safest place to move? Again, nothing in the world is safe right now, but 100% safe. But, if you want to be away from Canadian communism, I highly recommend El Salvador, Costa Rica, and Panama and Chile. Those are the 4 I recommend highly for now. Panama especially, because they've got better healthcare. All right. What's the best country to go to that's affordable? El Salvador right now would be incredibly affordable, and so would Sri Lanka. I would suggest if you live in North America, go to El Salvador over top of Sri Lanka, because that way you're still in the Western Hemisphere. To go to another hemisphere where it's 11 and a half hours or to 12 hours ahead, you're never going to be able to line up with everybody else. Costa Rica, for example, would be in the same, actually all of Latin America is in the same time zone as Alberta. So it'd be a good move for me should I decide to go. Okay, I'm not too sure what Heinkens Pinkman is trying to say here. All right. I'm going through your questions here, folks. If I've already answered the question early in the show, I'm not going to hit it. If it's new, I will. All right, having a quick look here. Kevin, why can't you travel right now? There's a good question. Right now, because the Alberta government says I can't. Because the Alberta government wants to interfere with my life, so they put a court order on me saying I couldn't leave here for 18 months. There's 15 more months to go on that. That's communist Canada. They control every facet of your life. I could leave, but then there'd be a warrant waiting for me when I get back. And no, thank you. Is Sri Lanka safe? West Coast? Yes. Central? North? No. South? Yes. How many felonies does Trump have to commit before you stop defending him? Which ones did he commit? Indictments don't mean jack. Indictments in a corrupt Democrat-run court system simply means they're looking for a reason to arrest you. Being arrested doesn't mean you committed the crime. It just means you got arrested. Right? A jury of your peers will have to determine that in a trial. And Trump is smart. He'll take all of these to trial. He's not going to make any plea bargains of any kind. Where do you meet women, Kevin? I do a lot of social stuff. There's a lot of places I go. I physically go and talk to people. I would much rather walk up to a woman in a public setting, introduce myself, and drum up some conversation. And if she says, "You're a creep, get lost," I say, "Okay, thank you. Nice talking to you." Walk away. Yeah, you don't get your ego bruised. A lot of you don't want the ego bruising. A lot of you out there think that you can go through life unscathed. That's not true. In the dating game, you're going to get rejected. So what? Move on. All right. For every woman out there that doesn't like me, there's another one somewhere that does. You know, it's the same idea of anything. For some people that like Ford, there's an equal number that like Chevy. Ta-da! I do that mostly. Dating apps are a pain in the ass. And I covered that, I think, 2 weeks ago on my dating show. They really are a nuisance. You got to work them hard. All right. And Dondra, thank you for the rose again. Greatly appreciate that. And look at this moron. The Tomato Lord. Kevin, when are you being released from prison? Do I look like I'm in prison? My God, man, you people are out of your minds. Is that a fake bookshelf behind you with two laughy faces? For the third time in the same show? Yes. It's nice and bright. It reflects white light out, so it's brighter in the studio. Here's my question to you. Why do you care? Can you answer that one? Probably not. All right. And the Tomato Lord is a troll, and the Tomato Lord is going bye-bye. Marco Parenti, he calls himself. Who cares what his name is? Get out. Trolls, I'm just going to ditch you. All right. Really, be a bit smarter. KJ is making me want to transition into what? Into an intelligent person? Of course, that's what I do. I inspire people to be better. All right. Wyatt Spencer. I don't know what question you guys say I didn't answer. I've answered a lot of questions today. A lot. If the American dollar is the reserve currency of the world, if America falls, the world's falling with it. Well, not if BRICS gets off to a correct start. If it is indeed going to be commodities backed, then it's going to be fine. The world will shift very quickly to BRICS, and the euro will be the secondary currency in the world to be used. But America, if it falls, which it's doing right now, the world's going to be in trouble for about 10 to 15 years. It's going to take a while for everyone to get used to the idea that America is no longer number one. All right, that's just how things are. Anjuri, I'm from Ontario and want to purchase a home elsewhere. You're never going to buy one in Ontario. That's not an insult to you. That's an insult to the housing market and all the money laundering taking place in Canada that has property prices being so high. Now, I'm sad that people can't afford homes, but really, can you imagine a piece of crap house made of Tyvek and glue being worth $1.5 million in Toronto? It's just not. It's not. You can buy 10 houses in the States for that price. Forget it. There's a temple in Sri Lanka called Dondra. Well, it's probably nowhere near as beautiful as you. There we go. There'll be lockdowns soon in Ontario. Yes, but they're going to mix it. They're going to call it another pandemic along with climate lockdowns. Watch and see. It's not going to be good. Okay. I wish this dude knew what communism meant. Hey, dude. I grew up in the Cold War, man. I know what communism is, man. My family came from a communist country. At the time, it was called Czechoslovakia. They were not allowed to leave their country, man, because the communist country there said, you're under 60, you still have working value here, you have to stay. Man, I'm a history buff, man, dude. Yeah, I know exactly what communism is. It is the worst system of government, aside from despotism, that you can put in, because it always fails. It always runs out of money. People do not want to be oppressed. They want to be free. You will always get revolution in Marxist or communist countries. Happens every single time. Communism failed every time it was implemented. I know exactly what communism means. This individual here, Trimagaran, says you have to have committed a crime. You don't just get a court order for nothing. Sure you do. The court system is incredibly corrupt. Lawyers and judges are friends. They're not going to let the outside world win. What they want to do is retain their power. So lawyer A, who's been in the business for 30 years, goes and meets the judge for a cup of coffee before court starts and says, hey, let's screw this guy over. And the judge will pretend on the stand that he's meeting this lawyer for the first time. It's a song and dance. Lawyer makes a proposal. Judge says yes. You do, in this country, get court orders for nothing. And I have a lot of experience in the courts. You, unfortunately, have no idea what you're talking about. You're just trying to be a jerk. And that's okay, because we get rid of jerks here that have 0 followers. Oh, yeah, of course, 0 followers. Bye-bye. Bye-bye to another troll. The Alberta government is out to get you, Kevin. They are hyper-focused on you. Yes, CSIS, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Cyber Crimes Division of the RCMP, Calgary Police, Edmonton Police, they watch every show I put out. Every police department in Western Canada watches everything I say and do. That's a fact. And I know this because I have all the disclosure. Yeah, the Calgary Police followed me in a helicopter for 2 days. They wrote it down in disclosure to a cost of $225,000 in fuel and maintenance, just to see if I wasn't wearing a mask. Think about how crazy this country is. You know, a whole helicopter for little old me? Ooh, I must really be special. Yes, Dondra, Trump all the way. Trump, the odds of him being convicted of anything are incredibly low. But because they're doing to him what they did to me, which was they threw 75 criminal charges at me, and none of them stuck. 75 to get me not to run for mayor. They're doing the same thing to him. So if they find him guilty on any of this, he'll appeal it. Do you know why? Because he won't actually be guilty. That's how it works. Now, I know exactly how Democrats and liberals think. Remember this, I'm older than most of you in this room. I've been around long enough to see history repeat itself 3 times, and it's happening again. Yes, Dondra, I agree. When you converse with women in person, you do meet good women, because you can cut the dumb ones out pretty fast. You can cut the selfish ones out pretty fast. And much like women talking to men in public, you can cut the losers out pretty fast. I'm pretty sure, ladies, when you come across a guy who's loaded, you'd never be able to know if he's an alcoholic or a drunk loser on Tinder, but you will in person. You're not going to know if a guy or a gal is doing copious amounts of cocaine until you see that. Okay, now he's on cocaine, or the itches from other drugs like ketamine. Yeah, I've seen all this. I know what the end result is of drug use, and you get to know this stuff by talking to people in person. I, for one, will not be around a drug user, and I will not date an alcoholic. I won't even date a smoker. It's just how it is. And you get to know all these things by meeting people in person. So dating apps are cool because they're convenient, but you have to work those longer than it would take to go to an actual social event. True story. All right. Okay, so someone wants to talk about, see, this is, again, you people get, you idiots, not the good people watching, but the idiots, the trolls who are watching, want to remind me that there's a judgment against me for $2.5 million, which was done illegally in the province of Ontario. I might add, the judge was not performing a legal duty when the judge issued that. And it's not $2.5 million of lawsuits. Get it right. It's $11.8 million. All right. The Canadian government says that I'm $11.8 million in the hole because they keep filing illegal lawsuits against me. And the last 3 times I was told by judges I was not allowed to have a lawyer. So I went through the ropes knowing I was going to lose anyway. I decided to stick it out to see what I could learn. Yeah. So $11.8 million, not 2.5. Get your facts right. Remember, I come out here and I tell the truth, and you trolls always get it wrong. Okay. Is Mexico a good place to move to? Puerto Vallarta on the West Coast? Yes. Yucatan Peninsula? Yes. Southern tip by Belize? Yes. Rent is cheaper. Food is comparable in price to Canada. Food's not cheap there. All right. Hello, Dondra. Thanks for the rose again. Really appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. Oh, and Hobby Sicky. Okay, tell you what, Hobby Hickey, whatever your name is, you're a troll and you're being a jerk and you are out of here. And if that's your real photograph, oh my God, dude, you need my dating advice. All right. Gone. Do you have an education degree from any real college or university? Yes, Windsor University. 2, BA, MBA. Why do you ask? Okay, what else do we have here? All right, and Heisen Pinkman's being a jerk. All right, I'll keep going here. People keep telling me I don't know what communism is. All right, if you're so damn clever, tell me what I'm getting wrong. Communism is a form of government where the state owns and controls everything. The state does. You may or may not be allowed to own private property within it. And if you do, the state can take it whenever they want. The idea is that everything is socialized, medicine, roads, education, and so on, but it has to be funded somehow. And in a communist society, which stifles human rights and stifles your right to be a capitalist and stifles your right to create and invent and make money, well, everybody's broke. So eventually the whole country goes broke. Communism fails because it doesn't have enough influx of cash. That's why. Canada is communist now and getting worse. 100% correct, Avery Thurman. China is doing great. China puts the USA to shame. I'm going to address this and I got to go. China overstated their population. They overstated their population by about 150 to 200 million. By the way, 13,000 likes. Can we get to 15,000 likes, everybody? Can we get this video to 15,000 likes before I go? And I'm going to answer this question and I got to go. I love you all for doing this. Thank you for all of it. It costs you nothing to like this video. Can we all just go tap, 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 tap? Thank you. I see the hearts coming up. I love it. China overstated their population, which means they're going to be in the same boat as Japan soon. They have too many people over the age of 50 who will be becoming senior citizens and retiring soon. China also tried to stifle their youth. They tried to make sure that their youth were unable to see what was going on around the world. But the youth were able to hack the internet, their intranet there, and see what other people around the world had. So Chinese youth don't want to work as hard as their parents, which means that they're going to have a shortfall of between 200 and 500 million skilled employees in that country. What happens when you're short 500 million people? Yeah, your economy crashes. Also, that Three Gorges Dam, they very foolishly built that thing on a fault line. It's gonna crack soon. Now, how many buildings do you see collapsing in China? It's almost one a week now. But the Chinese government's very good at hiding that kind of thing. So you don't see it. Their infrastructure is crumbling because it wasn't built right in the first place. It's only a matter of time before Japan and China are going to have to do what America and Canada has been doing for a long time, and that's opening the doors to immigration, just to have enough population to run the machines. China's not doing as well as you think that they are. And it's also because their communist government has stifled everything. Yes, they have really cool technologies there, but it's forced on the people. It's not built to celebrate any particular type of capitalist ideals. It's there just to show off. You know, Canada showed off to the world by building the CN Tower, the tallest freestanding structure in the world. Wasn't the tallest ever at the time, because everything else that was taller were just radio towers that were held by guy wires. But then we let that record go away. Then Canada had the biggest shopping mall in the world for a very long time, West Edmonton Mall, which is actually a pretty cool place. But, you know, what happened? There are 5 malls in the world bigger now, right? The CN Tower at 1,853 feet has more than 40 office towers now, taller. The rest of the world is showing off. They've got taller, they've got bigger, they've got faster, they've got wider, they've got everything. The Western world let themselves fall by the wayside, but it's not sustainable. Dubai is in trouble. China's in trouble. The Middle East is in trouble. The whole world is having a great deal of difficulty economically speaking, because we're trying to make too many radical changes too quickly. And it's not panning out as well as everybody thought that it would. China's in trouble. America's in trouble. Canada's in very big trouble. That's it. Thank you all for being here. We got to 15,900 likes. Can we get to 16,000 before I go? I got to go because I got to get ready for tonight's show. Dating advice. It's called Amazing Dating Advice with me and with Melanie Schweitzer. You can ask any question that you want. Go to my website if you like. Thank you. Oh, there we go. 16,000. Yes, we did it. Thank you all. Head over to my website, kevinjjohnston.me. Ask a question in the forum, or if you want me to call you for the show so you can ask your questions, send me your name and phone number, or send me your email address, and I'll send you a link that you can actually come into the show with your camera on and ask us anything you like about dating and relationships in general. I love you all for being here. Time for me to go. My throat's sore. That's it. All right. Love you all. Bye. Okay, everyone. You're here. You get to see me have that sip of water. We got a lot of trolls today, but 16,000 likes, 16,300 likes on a 1.5 hour video on TikTok. That's monumental. The problem is on TikTok, everybody, is that I have to watch everything that I say. I can't talk about COVID. I can't talk about communism. Like, there's a whole bunch of things I just can't say. So I'm very selective what that is. And that's also why I'm on Clapper. Clapper, just my name, Kevin J. Johnston on Clapper. I'll be uploading all my videos there as well. I love you all. I got to go, everybody. So let me just put that graphic up for you and feel free to ask any questions that you like. We'll get to them as quickly as we can. See ya.